My name is Darren Braddy, your mayor here in Cooper, and wanted to take a minute and talk to you about probably everyone's number one topic, the streets here in Cooper, which number one topic for me also. I drive on them myself, so I want to talk to you about how we currently are handling the streets and what our plans are. So today, when you call in with a complaint of a pothole, a ticket is made. And we collect those tickets until we have the time scheduled to come in and do pothole repair. And quite honestly, it's a first come, first serve. We go through those tickets and then hit anything else around those surrounding areas while we're at it. That's not a successful way, but that's the way we're doing it today. What our goal for 2019 is to change that. Instead of being reactive, we want to be proactive. So we're going to address it in a different way. Right now, currently, we're working on 3 different major streets that we've had to do some repairs to. Over on South West 4th by the old high school, we had to replace 300 foot of sewer lines, so we dug up 4th Street, 300 foot. We're going to take that street. We're going to take Southeast 9th, where we replaced some sewer line way at the beginning of the year, and fix that road. And then we're also going to take East and West Fort Worth Street by the Methodist Church, by the grocery store, and behind the post office, where we've done those major jobs. And we're going to come in with actual belly loads of blacktop, and we're going to come in with the motor grader, and we're going to spread that and not just do pothole. We're going to do entire sections there, spread that out, so we'll have nice smooth roads to work on there. Will has worked on some of the equipment to get us ready to be able to prep and then also do the finish work with the roller, so that we can come in and make this successful and as smooth as we can with the equipment that we have. So those are the projects that we're currently working on. What our goals are is that we want to identify some of the worst streets and do those same things. We don't want to come in and do pothole repair. We want to come in and do what is a belly dump load. So it would be an entire truckload of material that would be brought in, and we would smooth an entire street. Now there will be some streets, because of their volume and because of the amount of traffic that they have, may actually be determined to turn over into gravel, because it's easier to maintain, and the return on investment for the blacktop doesn't make sense on certain streets or little back streets that we have, but they do need to be maintained, and gravel is something that we can easily maintain. So that's our game plan for 2019. How are we going to pay for that? Budget-wise, we have an additional $20,000 in our materials, road materials budget. So that moves us up from $53,000 to right at $73,000 for 2019 that we can use for sand, gravel, cold mix, which is the asphalt, all those types of materials. Our struggle in the past has been that our sewer fund at the sewer plant has not been able to maintain itself and keep the checkbook in the positive. We've had to take monies from other funds, and the street being one of them, general fund also. As you all know, we came in and raised the water and sewer rates this year in October, and that is a direct correlation with allowing us to be able to work on our streets. The sewer fund should be able to fund itself and not borrow money. The water fund itself do the same thing, and then the street fund will then have its monies left alone to do what we need to do with the streets. So that's our game plan for 2019, and how we plan on funding that. For long-term or for large projects, I know grants are always something that people talk about and are concerned. How do we get grants? The main grant that cities are given to work on either streets, water, or sewer is, and I'm going to have to refer to this, it's the TXCDBG grant done from the Department of Agriculture. And that grant, like I said, can be used on any one of those three categories: water, sewer, or streets. That grant is a 6-year rotation grant, and it takes 2 years for the application process to go through, get that process through, and to get approval. So the grant that we just approved at our last council meeting will happen 2020, 2021 construction timeframe. What will happen in that grant, we have $275,000 in grant and then a 10% city match, which comes to just a little over $300,000. What that will allow us to do is, out at our water plant, we have 3 major projects that we've not been fined for, but TCEQ has noted on their inspections. One of them is we have 2 maroon storage tanks that you can see from the highway. One of those tanks needs to be taken down, sprayed, have metal replaced, completely repainted. The other project is the clarifier, and that clarifier has some very minor leaks, but the inspector has seen them and noted them, so we need to come in and have that thing reworked and have those leaks addressed. The other issue that we're going to use the money for is our intake in the middle of the lake, the sluice gates, which are the gates that allow you to determine what level you pull the water out of the lake from. You can pull from a cleaner section, which makes your water processing much easier. Those gates have been frozen for many years, and we've only been able to pull from one section. So we are going to come in, have the silt and the dirt buildup around that intake removed. We're going to have divers go in and replace those sluice gates so we can then operate that more efficiently. That's going to help us in reducing chemical costs at the water plant. That's going to help us reduce the backwash that we have to do through our filters. And when we backwash, we're using treated water, so that's other money going down the drain. So it's going to allow us to be much more efficient in our water treatment plant, and it's also something that TCEQ has noted for us, so we want to get that taken care of. Several other things out there that we want to do, or that we need to do also. There are 2 meters that need to be installed to gauge the backwash that we have coming out when we do our backwash. And then we also need a walkway put in to get to the intake so that we can do our maintenance. Right now it's only accessible by a boat, which is not the best scenario, so we need a walkway out there. All those monies are going to have to come out of budget because those first 3 projects already ate up the $300,000 that we have for a grant. So you can see how quickly that money can go. It doesn't last very long when you're doing major projects. We can apply for it again in 4 years, and it'll be another 2-year process. So it'll be another 6 years before we'll see this grant money come through. And that is the only other grant money. The only other funding out there for us to go after is a grant/loan, which the grant portion, and that's where people think, well, there's more grants out there. The grant portion is a forgival of the back end of the loan, and then it's a very low interest rate. But it's a loan. We don't have the monthly income to take on another loan. We're still paying for, when we funded the water plant and the sewer plant being reworked, we don't have the monthly income to make that payment right now. But I will tell you, there are a couple of businesses that's come to town, and there's some other things that's happening that will increase the amount of sales tax that we receive here in the city. We are looking at the possibility of maybe using that sales tax that's being increased to help us get a fund together to be able to make that monthly payment. And then we could go out and do a low interest loan/grant specifically for street projects, and then have that sales tax to make that monthly payment. So it doesn't increase taxes. We don't have to do a bond election or anything crazy like that. So that's something that we're looking at and seeing if that's possible this year with this increased sales tax that's coming in. That would allow us to do some major projects. One thing I do want to remind everybody on is when we start talking about redoing streets totally, what I've been referring to is where the city would come in and just overlay and make the streets nicer. When we're talking about coming in and totally redoing streets, digging up foundation, we have to discuss that water and sewer lines are still under a large majority of the streets. Those will have to be replaced out into the right-of-ways, into the ditches, before the street would be reworked, and of course that adds cost. But that's the right way to do it, so then when a water leak or a sewer leak happens, we don't dig up streets to get to them, we dig up into the ditch. So, and of course then that's long-term plans, but we need to be thinking long-term for our city. So I want to thank you for listening to this video. We plan to have more as time comes along. We want to have informed citizens so we can move towards the future. Thank you for your time.